Today we have the Squier made in Indonesia Affinity Strat. Got this about a week ago for 185 British pounds, so it's usually about 185 US dollars these days. So far pretty happy with the quality. When I first got it, the fret ends were a little bit sharp, but with a week at home it seems like they've kind of retracted their way into the fretboard. Now they're really smooth. I did have plans to do quite a lot of work on them, which I will still check the leveling and stuff in the coming week, but it actually, in terms of the fit and finish, it's quite good. I still got some of the plastic on there on the pickup covers because Fender have a way of wrapping it all over there that makes it quite difficult to get it off cleanly until you actually need to sort of take the pick guard off to get it all off nice and clean. So I'm going to do that anyway, because first thing I'm going to do on this is just change the strings to a set of 10 gauge Ernie balls. The 9s, I think they're 9s that it comes with, they're a bit too loose, a bit too plinky, but that would be a pretty nice upgrade, just putting some 10s on there. But all in all, I have been pretty impressed with this. Did choose it over a classic vibe, mainly because, firstly obviously the price, but I do like the 2-screw bridge that it has. It's got the telly style machine heads where the string goes inside the hole so you don't have that sharp bit sticking out. I do like the bigger 70s headstock. Obviously you're going to have a lighter weight bridge. It doesn't bother me too much, as the other big reason I bought this is I am traveling overseas in a couple of weeks time, and I wanted something where I'm comfortable taking off the neck and chucking in the suitcase so that I can play it while I'm away through my Nux Mighty Plug 3 Pro, I think it's called, Nuex Mighty Plug Pro 3. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to make some videos on that coming up, because this will make quite a nice travel rig. So the body, it's a bit lighter than a USA Strat or most of the other Fender Strats that I've owned, but the tone of the actual guitar I'm perfectly happy with, especially for the price. But even not for the price, if you can get over the fact that it says Squier on the headstock, I do think these are solid guitars. You may get a poorly QC one here and there though, so take that with a grain of salt. But as I say, fretboard really good on this. I'm more than happy with it. And neck pocket itself is super tight, which is another good sign. I've had more expensive guitars where you got big gaps in the neck pocket and it just doesn't fit into the body too well. And that can often kind of take away from the sustain and resonance of the guitar. Pots feel good. Selector, I've seen people comment on these being a little bit on the cheaper side. It probably has a different tactile feel to it than one that you might find in an actual Fender guitar, but it still seems fine. I might take a look under the pickguard when I change the strings anyway. I probably am going to deck the trem because it does seem to go out of tune pretty quickly whenever I use it. But I'm going to put some Big Ben's nut sauce on the nut and the bridge to see if that stabilizes it. I might give it just a tiny bit of float, but it doesn't need it. You can still bend down. I don't need, you can bend up with your fingers and down with the trem whilst having it decked the way I do it, by just tightening up the springs rather than putting a piece of wood wedged in there against it like some people prefer. The only other thing I guess worth commenting on is the neck. It doesn't have that thick lacquer like a classic vibe. I prefer it without the lacquer. It's faster to me. It does feel a little bit rougher perhaps, but it's easier to play and it feels more like a played in guitar in my experience.